and he started making these prints of like horse art, and it looked exactly like mine. And I was like, oh, these are nice. I wonder where you get your inspiration from. Hi everybody and welcome to my channel. I was so shook. Today I wanted to make a video talking about my artistic journey. I don't like that word, but my art journey from art school up until now. And just how I've managed to keep creative, having a full-time job, part-time job, and managed to kind of keep the momentum going. If you'd like it, I could make another video about my experience at art school, but I just want to talk about, you know, how I've managed to still be an artist and how I'm moving towards where I want to be. I know how difficult it is, especially when people will say things like, oh, well, how are you gonna make money? What are you gonna do? Like, not understanding in this day and age of social media, there's so much you can do. There's so many avenues you can take, you know, with being, for instance, being a content creator, being an online, you know, digital artist, being a character designer, being just selling your things on your artworks on Etsy, on Society6, having your own website and selling online, things like that. Before I went to art school, so I'm purely going to talk about my art practice. So before I went to art school, I would do commissions, or a lot of commissions of people's horses and their dogs. And then one day my mom suggested, why don't you go, she had a new product that she was coming out with, and she's like, why don't you go and sell this for me, but bring your art along with you, you know, why don't you go to the markets? And I was like, no, I don't want to do it. No. And then at the time, my stepdad, so he was like, we're going to the markets now, and bring your stuff, I don't care what you say. I was like, no, I was literally kicking my, I was like, no, I was so scared. Like, I was like, no, I can't do this, I can't sell my works. Anyway, so I took a few like little sketches, like in ink, and I had glass clip frames, which I really liked actually. And then immediately I sold out. Literally, I was so shook, guys. I couldn't believe that someone, like a stranger, would want to buy my work. It was the most amazing feeling ever, and it really boosted my confidence so much. So I went a few times. I think I went 5 times. Every Friday I would go, and then I kept selling out, and it was awkward because there were people who had their own stands who sell their own merchandise, and they were seeing my success, and then someone started copying me. So there was a man, after about 3 weeks, I saw he was upstairs, and he started making these prints of like horse art, and it looked exactly like mine. And I was like, oh, these are nice. I wonder where you get your inspiration from. Wow, this is like amazing. And then there was a lady who wanted to take some of my works on consignment. She was like, oh, I'll sell these for you. And I was just like, you know, I actually made a few sketches for her, and I was like, you can have these. Anyway, but yeah, so that went really well, and it gave me confidence. And I always knew I wanted to go to art school because I had gone to Stellenbosch, and it wasn't what I wanted to do. I'd studied a BA in humanities. I majored in psychology, and I did linguistics and philosophy and sociology, but you know, it was obviously interesting, but I always knew that in the back of my mind that I wanted to be an artist, and I wanted to go to art school. So I actually read Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way, and that's what gave me so much confidence to kind of take the plunge. And I'm gonna take a sip of coffee real quick. And reading that book is what inspired me to kind of go full on and go to art school. So I went to the Michaelis School of Fine Art in Cape Town, and it was a whirlwind of experiences, emotions, opportunities, contacts, exhibitions. You know, it was great. So you have your graduate exhibitions, so your exhibitions that are, you know, your exam exhibitions, so exhibiting what you produced per each year. So first year, second, so every year you have 2 exhibitions, which is like your exam exhibition basically, and that are marked and everything. But I separated that from my own practice, because what is expected of you at art school is to produce more conceptual art. The Michaelis School of Fine Art is a conceptual art school, so they're not going to teach you as much technique. An art school specializing in the art world itself and political ideas behind artworks, which I'm not against, but obviously I would have loved to learn more technique. I feel like I had to kind of teach myself technique from the beginning and from the start, and even now I feel like I'm still teaching myself technique and how to paint and etc, etc. The only proper technique we learned was in first year. We did watercolor studies, and then we also did figure drawing, so live like nude models figure drawing, which was great for learning you know, proportions and things. But yeah, I always wanted to stick to my subject matter, which was equestrian art, and a lot of my lecturers kind of were against that. Like they kept saying like, oh, like you need to move away from the horse, like Katarina, like you need to do something. So only one of my exhibitions didn't have horses in it, and I made like these puppets, like these dolls, and I made prints from those dolls and stuff. I mean, obviously we also had academic writing to do, so it was a lot of work, and there were a lot of political circumstances involved, and the protests, the student protests, fees must fall, where students gathered to protest against the fees rising for students, and so classes were cancelled, exams were postponed, and that sort of thing. So it was, some of it was dragged out. I did finish the degree in 4 years with an honours, and then my 4th year you kind of do your own thing more, so you are you can choose your own medium, your own project. You still are guided by lecturers and your professors and stuff and your mentors, but you kind of are on your own mission to produce a larger body of work. And I was so happy with my body of work at the end. I made large wax paintings, and that came from a very kind of emotional, traumatic experience that I had, and my artworks were based on that trauma. So yeah, I used my pain to kind of produce art, and I managed to sell 2 artworks from that exhibition. But obviously selling wasn't really the goal. I mean, it was just to kind of, it was my exam exhibition again, even if we did have a grad show where after the exams, you know, it was on display for the public and for sale and things. And then a few months later, so I got a part-time job. I moved back home, I got a part-time job, and I was still making art, but I was losing steam. I felt like I was kind of losing confidence in myself again, because I wasn't making as much art. I was au pairing and going to horse riding stables where I had the chance to study horses in real life, but I just had lost my creative flow, and I felt so like stuck. Just when I was starting to lose hope though, I was emailed a personal invitation to exhibit at the R&B Turbine Art Fair. So this curator had found me through the graduate exhibition catalogue at the Makeda School of Fine Art, and she asked me to exhibit at the R&B Turbine Art Fair in Johannesburg. So I was like, oh my goodness, I felt so grateful to exhibit there. I actually made a video about it. I'm not sure if the quality is ideal, but I was so grateful. I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that I can exhibit, like I have the opportunity to exhibit here. Wow, so that was great. I managed to sell one to a collector who collects up-and-coming female artists in sub-Saharan Africa, and she wanted to kind of get a whole body of work or collection going to exhibit in future, I presume. And then I had someone come up to me who wanted to interview me, so I had an article written about me in Aha Moments magazine, so that was also amazing, about my work and my graduate exhibition body of work, and that's also extremely rewarding. I was in South Korea, I still am. I was in Seoul, South Korea at the time teaching, so when I got the news, it was just strange. I was in class and I got the news that the magazine was published. I'd already done the interview and stuff, but I didn't know when it was going to be published, but it was, and then I was like, wow, this is amazing. And right now I'm just trying to grow my social media, so I'm only at 260 something followers on my art page, Equillustrations. I'm still trying to figure out what would be the most ideal name for my art page and for my brand, and I still want to make a website. And I'm just practicing technique and doing as much research as possible about Instagram algorithms and that sort of thing to grow my art account. I am still in the process, and like Gary Vaynerchuk says, you have to love the process of trying to get where you want to be. If you don't love the process, you're not doing the right thing. You need to love, you know, every step, every baby step that it takes to get there. And now I'm really wanting to kind of pour way more energy into this, and I can't wait to see what my creative and artistic career has in store for me. So let me know what you thought about this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.